Hello everyone, welcome to the next day of the training. I am Richard Carlton, I'm here to welcome you. I have my team here working with me, and we are trying to, as you could tell, there's a lot of this technology is a little bit new. We are live streaming live to YouTube as well as Twitter, and you can actually have a conversation here with us on that. I'm actually monitoring that over here. In fact, what I want to do is just remind everyone that as you come in, there's a little bit of a delay in this. We've been adjusting the colorization of the content of the video, making it a little bit brighter. It was a little bit dark, and so we have to adjust the gamma settings on the video out, and so we've done that, and it should be a little bit brighter for you coming out of our systems. And so there's about a 1 minute delay, plus or minus, from the time I say something to the time you see it. I will see your text messages in real time, but you won't see my response to your questions or answers for about 60 seconds. So just a reminder on that end of things. What I need to do, though, is see if we can get one of our engineers, Charles. I don't know if he's around. We ought to call Charles. We wonder if we can call Charles and get him on the phone. Is that even possible? We should try doing that. Let me see if I can call Charles here. Where is Charles? Can we get a hold of Charles? Where is he at? Because he can help us manage and monitor things. Let me see. We can call Charles right now. We're going to ring the phone. See if he's ready to have a conversation with us. Because we need someone to help manage the YouTube videos. Hey, Charles, how are you?
Hey, doing good, boss. How you doing?
Good. You're on live TV. You need to turn up your gain a little bit on this. I'm going to leave you on here. I just want to give you a heads up that I am monitoring the Twitch feed. The YouTube feed, I don't see you to be on the right screen for this. I've seen it work before, but I've never done the YouTube text conversation while I was broadcasting at the same time. And so I went to the YouTube page. So if you can go to the YouTube page and figure out how to see that text conversation, that would be really great. You could monitor that for me and let me know how that's going. That would be awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that off for now. I'm going to come back over here. So what I'm just going to say, just remind everyone, you hear questions, ask them, please. Right? So the whole idea is that we have the ability to answer the questions in real time. We're very happy about that. So moving along. So today is going to be a conversation about CRMs and the 6, 7 tips, things that the sequence of events you want to go through in terms of setting up a CRM and what is a CRM. So it's a little bit more of a basic conversation initially. And then what I want to do is make sure that we answer questions in flight. And so if you have questions, let us know. Charles will be finding the YouTube conversation on his end, and then I will, on my end, be responding. Keep an eye on Twitter. Holy cow. So someone just dropped a huge... Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the basic. There are some conversations about CRMs here, and what we're going to do is we're going to... I will get on this with Brian. Brian asked a question. It might be, we'll see how much of this we can go to and answer on you and talk to you about this, but that's kind of the idea. I'm going to cover the basics of the CRM. Obviously, Brian was ready with a question in advance, which is really awesome, Brian. Thank you for doing that. In fact, Brian, where are you from? Let us know so we can credit you appropriately. So, cool. So let's just cover the basics here real quick on the CRM related stuff. I'm going to go ahead and hide Charles for the moment here. We don't need to see Charles. So once again, and I understand that we have a question over here. It's a little more advanced, but then at the same time, I need to cover the basics of a little bit of background of what we're doing. So the short version of this is, what is a CRM? A CRM is a customer relationship management system, a piece of software. I guess you could say that a binder of paper is a CRM. If you could have everyone stare at the binder of paper and have customers on one page and phone calls that you make on another page and the invoices that they have, you insert them in there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a system, typically software, that manages your customer management, project management, typically invoicing. It doesn't necessarily do accounting per se. That's really a separate system. A lot of people use QuickBooks for that. In fact, even my company, we use QuickBooks for it. But what we do is that we have FileMaker talk to QuickBooks, makes it simple to keep QuickBooks up to date. But we run the company out of FileMaker. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people in fact, actually 1 million people every day log on and use FileMaker somewhere around the world. It's a huge number of people that log on and use it. It has a huge customer base. And so typically what businesses and organizations do is they track their customers, they track their work, they track the things that they're getting paid to do. And so once again, we're happy to be doing a live stream today. We welcome you to be here with us, and we want to emphasize the fact that we're going to be leaning more towards the remote workers in this conversation, because that's where a lot of people are at. They're stuck at home, they're working still, hopefully, right? Most businesses are still operating. If you're in a restaurant business, I mean, I don't have to tell you, that's just a really rough deal right now. Hopefully it'll get better in the next 4 weeks or so, 3 or 4 weeks. But at this point, I just wanted to go through what the CRM idea and what the issues are that you're going to see potentially as you work from home. So first off, the FileMaker platform is really owned by Apple. And so the company that makes FileMaker, once upon a time they were named Claris. They were actually brought into Apple by Steve Jobs back in the day. So I know Steve Jobs personally used FileMaker, right? He would work on it on the weekends. I kid you not, true story. He called people that I know for tech support on the weekend to get help with stuff because they get stuck. So even the great Steve Jobs would get stuck with things. And so Apple owns FileMaker at the end of the day. So you've got one of the biggest tech companies in the world behind it, right? So it's got a huge customer audience base. It's supported by one of the biggest companies in the world. That's probably why you're here. And so the question is, how do you get started with a CRM? What's the most cost-effective way to get started with a CRM? Well, first idea is to have this idea that the FileMaker platform might be worthwhile looking into. It's really cost-effective if you look at what it does for you. The second thing you're going to want to do is go to the Claris.com, go to the website, and download a trial of FileMaker Pro. If you have a hard time with any of these things I'm talking about, email us to support@RC Consulting. The next thing you're going to do is, after you download and install this trial, which will run for about 45 days, a FileMaker Pro, Mac or Windows, you're going to want to get a free CRM. Now, the CRM that we have is called FM Starting Point. It's a free CRM. It's actually completely unlocked, which is great. And what that allows you to do is to customize it yourself. So you get a CRM actually for free. Why do we do that? Because it makes a great training tool. It's a great PR tool for my company. We have invested over $1 million of my personal money into it over the last 10 years. Not $1 million at once, no. It was just, but incrementally, when you add over 10, 12 years, things start to add up. And so it's designed, it works really great with mobile devices. It works great with the cloud. In fact, it's specifically optimized to work really well with remote users. It's super important this time right now with a lot of people at home, people that are working at home who maybe have never worked at home before. If you have a FileMaker system, it hasn't been kept up to date, and the people who run the system haven't, optimized it for home users, you might be having a slow experience. That can happen. FM Starting Point is specifically engineered for high speed, high performance. In fact, every bottleneck that's been in there, we've removed. So really quite good. And so you can download a free copy here. All you have to do is go to the download. I'll move myself over here a little bit down here, out of the way. Actually, I can make myself a little bit smaller too. Let's just do that. And hide me out of the way. Is it snapping? It's kind of snapping. All right, that'll work. And so you go to the download here. You just put in your information. You'll get an email. The email will come to you with the download information on it. When you download it, you're going to get a folder like this. Once again, you have to have FileMaker installed already, so Mac or Windows. You're going to install it. You're going to double-click it, and you're in and you're running. Now, at the moment, the copy of FM Starting Point or the FileMaker CRM is running locally on your computer. You're not sharing it yet with your team. The real benefit, the power of FileMaker, is the collaborative sharing. So you get it going, and then along the way here, you can decide, hey, I want to deploy it and share it with the team. And so that's really the benefit of the platform. Running it just for you on your local computer, that's great, but a lot of people can do that. But having it share in real time on the cloud is awesome. So the idea is that you come into FM Starting Point. It's actually completely unlocked. So what I can do is I can actually come up here, and I can go into layout mode, which is a design mode, and you can customize the application. Since it's already built, right? So it already has a contact section in here. It has a couple sample records I've already put in this one right here. When you get yours, it'll come with one sample record in each of these sections, but we have the ability to do invoicing. The other day we were talking about barcoding with this. You have the ability to do estimates, project management. Contacts is a very big thing in terms of the communication with the customer so you can see what's going on. Super valuable. So it's completely unlocked, which means that you can get under the hood and you can add fields, add capabilities. You can look at the relational design, the relational structure of it if you want to get into that. And we have training that covers all this. So the tool is free. FM Starting Point is free. FileMaker, you have to pay for FileMaker, but you can get a trial for 45 days. It's really quite cost effective. And we have training that's really reasonable. Starts at about $79, and it covers how to build in the FileMaker platform, how to customize, frankly, the CRM or any other FileMaker system. So understand that that's how you're going to get going. The idea with Starting Point is because it comes with these modules in here, you have the ability to actually go into layout mode and remove things. So if you decide that you were only gonna do people and invoices, and you really weren't gonna do projects, you can actually come in here and start removing items and getting rid of them. Say you don't really wanna do estimates either, but you do have products, so you could move that up here. And so you can actually remove things that you don't need. You can actually remove capabilities. So we built this tool. The goal, really, when you first get it, is to remove the things you don't need. Now, a lot of people, what they will do is instead of actually completely removing items, they will take the items they don't think they need and move them off to the side of the screen like this. And that way they haven't deleted them, they're still there if they decide they need to use them in the future, right? So you could come up with a, move the buttons over here, go back to browse mode, right here. So I use keyboard shortcuts a lot. So you see the little keyboard shortcuts right there. And so that is basically the idea of taking a pre-built CRM, which probably has maybe more in it than you need, removing the pieces you don't need, then adding the pieces you do. Watch some training along the way. If you need some personal hand-holding, you can get coaching to help you with that. So the idea with getting a CRM going rapidly, the tips for being successful really are is picking a platform that has worldwide adoption and over 1 million people a day who use it, who log on to use it. Having a tool that works great with users at home, which works on the cloud, which shares with users at home. So a user could be logged onto the system right now, and it would operate the same at home as it would in the office. If you have a FileMaker solution and it's built correctly and it's optimized, then it will work really well for the home user. It works really well for the in the office user. It works great on iPhones and iPads, and there's even some level of support for Android devices. So you can use that as well. Pretty cool. So, so you download the software. You're going to remove the items you don't need. You can add, you could go to contacts. You could say, I want to add an additional field here of information I want to track. You can do that very easily. The next thing you're going to do in this step, step 4 of the process, I think, is step 5 in the process is actually to import the data. So find the data that you had in Excel files, find the data that you have in wherever you had the data previously. If you have Post-it notes, then you really can't, if you're running the whole company on notes and paper like this, then there's really no import feature for that, right? But the idea is that if you have data in another system, you're using Excel, etc., you can actually go into FileMaker and do an import. So you have the ability to import records here and bring them in. Once again, a little bit of practice, a little bit of help would be useful for you if you don't have experience doing this, but that's kind of the idea. So the next item, you get to the point where you really want to share it with people, and the idea is to take it and deploy it. So we have a local copy right here. You can actually deploy it onto a server that runs in your office. Now, if the server's in your office and you have home users or users that are working out in the field, you want to make sure that people can access that server out from the internet. If you don't want to mess with that or set that up, you don't have IT people to help you, then what you want to do is take a look at using FileMaker Cloud. FileMaker Cloud is a service that you basically go through the sign-up process. You would go to claris.com. I can go ahead and I'll bring up my website, but let's go to claris.com. And what you can do is you have to spell it correctly first. And you'll have the ability to actually check out their cloud service. If you need help with setting up the cloud service, then definitely shoot an email to support@RC Consulting. But it's the new cloud service is radically simpler to set up. And that's actually how you license or buy the product. FileMaker or I say FileMaker, the Claris management team at Claris is not really interested in selling you a single copy of FileMaker. What they want to do is sell you a 5-pack for your team, or 10 seats for your team. You know, I always say it a pack, like a 6-pack of beer or something, right? So it's a 6-pack of Diet Coke. You know, 5 seats of software, 10 seats, but that's for your team. Then you install the clients, and that server manages those licenses. So there's really cool things you can do in terms of managing the access, usernames and passwords, things like that. The Claris Cloud does that very, very well, right? So once again, average 1 million+ users every day. They obviously have some sample files here. These files are not always optimized for wide area use with the wide area internet, but our starting point software, the CRM that we have, is specifically optimized. We've had up to the biggest test we had about a year ago. We had almost 300 people using it simultaneously in a live webinar like this, and they were all using it. In fact, it was running on cloud, and it worked really great, and it performed the way it was supposed to. And those are people who are remote from home or different offices around the world. Very cool. So it works. We've tested it. It goes. So anyway, so this is the Claris website. You can check out the Claris FileMaker tab right here, and that brings up information about the apps, and then of course you get going on it. But you're basically, FileMaker is going to feel like selling to you or want to sell to you is the idea that you can go through a simple installation process and set up your own cloud, and then you take this file, you come over here with file, and you say, I want to share it. So right here at the top, you say share, I want to upload to a host, and it's going to say, hey, you know, we need to set up a security code. You go through the process of setting that up, and then putting a username and password in. It's very simple, and then you're going to upload to the cloud, and then your other users on your team can all access this information at the same time. It's really a simple process. It's really good, and we see a lot of success with it. That's why there's 1 million people who use the FileMaker platform. So we do have a question. So we have people from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Awesome. Fort Lauderdale. We've seen the Fort Lauderdale people on TV. You guys are all on the beach spreading the coronavirus, right? That was the news. That was the news. Everyone was on the beach. All the college students, they don't care. They're just on the beach partying, drinking, and doing whatever college students do when they're bored. So anyway, so welcome to the world of 20-year-olds. I have a whole bunch of them that work for me at RCC, and yeah, so I could totally see where they would ignore things and go to the beach anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cancel this right here. And then I'm going to come over here and we're going to take our first question from Brian. Hi, Richard. I've become familiar with FileMaker for sales order processing. Once again, a CRM will do sales order processing. Here is, for example, a invoice screen that we have right here. Database management, inventory control while working with a company for 20 years. I went to work for a new company. So this gentleman, Brian, was at a company that used FileMaker, goes to a new company. They're not using FileMaker. And we hear about that a lot. They're like, oh my gosh, this company is, you know, antiquated or backwards. We need to bring them up to date with FileMaker. I'm not saying Brian said that here, but that's frequently how these messages start off like this. I haven't read this yet. I went to work for a new company. I would like to use FileMaker as a CRM. There we go. So I need an quote for request for information site populate database. Okay, so this guy's asking me to provide a quote over the Slack on the. Okay, so here's a tip. If you want to hire my company, or yeah, because you know there's only going to be 1,000 people are going to see this. So just shoot if you want to talk to us about quotes and business processes. I'm sending you some ideas about costs and stuff. Shoot an email to support@rcconsulting.com. There's a tech support crew that answers it. They triage it. We got a dedicated sales guy who can help you with licensing. And in terms of quotes and stuff, that's fine. But ability to send out quotations, drip emails. Can FileMaker accomplish this better than other CRMs? So FileMaker is a platform, right? So understand that it's a really great. So I'm going to answer this one question here. He's asking about a couple capabilities. So if you buy FileMaker or license FileMaker, the starting point CRM is free and it's optimized for high performance. It's been around for a while. It's one of the most established, well-known CRMs in the FileMaker world. It just is. A lot of the other CRM companies there's like 2 or 3 other decent, good CRMs that are in the FileMaker platform. Those are about 500 dollars per user in that range potentially. They're not cheap, and sometimes their capabilities are better than this. Sometimes their capabilities are not as good as this, and that's why frequently free wins the day on this one. So he wants to be able to track out orders. Send out quotations. So right here, for example, we have an invoice. If you went to an estimate and you wanted to send the estimate, say you rigged up the estimate right here and you wanted to send to someone by email, it's already built in. It's already in here. There's nothing to build. We've already done it for you. So the ability to do a quote, do a yeah, David, I'm not going to go. So David's asking me if I'm a doctor. I'm not a doctor, David. Yeah, so he's asking me about the proper name, and that's a political hot potato, what you call the virus. The Chinese don't like it when you call it the Chinese virus or the Wuhan virus, and of course then some people think you're being politically insensitive. We're not going to go there with that, but yeah, interesting. With that conversation, let's just try to keep it on FileMaker. Don't start asking me about planes, helicopters, or blowing things up, because then we'll just get distracted from FileMaker. But so then the ability to send out quotations is already in here. The ability to set up and use a drip campaign system. So that's a drip system is what a lot of you will see when you come into you sign up for FM Starting Point. You'll get an email from me once a week, that kind of thing. It's a drip system. It's not a you can adjust the schedule of the drips, but the idea is that if you have a water faucet and it's like barely cracked open at your sink and you get this drip, and then 15 minutes later you get another drip. And the idea is to stay in front of people and give them demos about great products that you sell, whatever that is. Maybe a Toyota does a drip to you or whatever. So there are online services that provide drip. You can do an API integration. That's where you take FileMaker and you're going to connect it to some third-party service that does the drip for you. It's probably the most effective way to do that. I wrote my own drip system. Okay, it's really specific to RCC and the way we do business. We can write your own drip system, but realistically, integrating with an online system would probably be much easier and simpler. And so that's where you would work with a senior engineer to take a CRM like this and then wire up a connection to a drip third-party service. So this CRM right here doesn't do drip notifications. It has the ability to email people, to manage the contacts. You can come over here to the email menu. You can have canned emails about what you want to say to them. And like in my personal system, what we use at RCC was based upon a very early version of Starting Point. We probably have 200 canned emails in here of various, with various messages, so that we don't have to rewrite every email every time. It saves a lot of time. But these emails only go out when I press the button over here to send it out. So I can say send right here is the send button, and I don't even know if this will work right here or not. Oh yeah, my Mac wants to make sure I have the, okay. So I dropped it into an email client right here. You can change the settings in Starting Point if you come over here to Preferences. And once again, this isn't FileMaker specific, and I'll explain this in a second, but if you do email issues on FileMaker, so we're using FileMaker Pro, we can send them out through SMTP Server or 360works email plugin. And so you could actually have it go directly out and you never see it on your email client, right? Makes sense? You'd have to do a little bit of setup. So when you click that and set this up, then you have to, wherever that went, email, yeah, over here. So we have a condition right here. You have to actually come over here and set up, hang on one second, I have one record here. You have to set up the settings for the email client out. So we see those settings right here. So it's really the account that you use with your email system, and that way you can send emails directly out of here. So let me just take a look at that. Yep, so we have calendar preferences, invoicing preferences, backups if you want to do that. And then we have this right here. And that should pop a window right here. I'm not seeing it on this. This might be an old version of Starting Point. I'll have to check that. But basically, you have to set the settings up for your email out. So it does all that, but if you want the drip, that would have to be integrated. Makes sense? So it's and that's where, we build Starting Points, the most common elements that people need. Some people want drip. Some people need to connect to QuickBooks. Some people need this, that. And that's where you kind of get into customizing it. The power and the benefit of the FileMaker platform is really two things. Three things. One, it's a huge company with a huge ecosystem that supports it. Two, it's a highly customizable system that really at the end of the day has a ton of power, and it's pretty customizable, and you generally can get a coach for less than $100 to help you figure out what you need to do. We have those at support at RC Consulting, and they can walk you through things or teach you things or help you build things. And so those are the coaches. So you have great support, backing of Apple, highly customizable, and super shareable. The collaborative nature of the platform is really what it's great at. And so that's what, the point of this is. iMog is on the job. If, today would not be, there we go. Yeah, iMog is back. All right. The day would not be complete. The day would not be complete unless this person was here. And so, yeah, waving to me. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, very good. Oh, shoot. So Brian said no. Yeah, there we go. So anyway, so we will entertain questions at this point. Charles, are you there still? Are we on my Slack here still? Looks like you're here. Do you have any questions on from the YouTube side or on the questions there?
YouTube is quiet for right now.
Okay.
For their chat.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's fine. So yeah, so Chinese virus. I can be your Dr. David. What's the issue? Yeah. So yeah, I have a great team of people here that are enjoying the show, and I'm glad you're with us today. So how can you save a record as a PDF, then attach to an email and send it out? Okay, so we went through this a week or two ago. I'm gonna run you through it. Whoa, my camera's moving around. Stop moving. There we go. Up it. So a couple weeks ago we went through this. It's in Starting Point. The sample code's in here. I'm going to kind of walk you through it so you can see it briefly. So we've done this before. I'll do it again. I just want to show you this. So the idea is that because iMog is one of our FileMaker training subscribers, they get all the videos that we have. It's about, if you folks ask for a discount, we give you the discount on just the video training if that's what you want. We have 2 bundles. I'll just simply explain this. So then it seems like an ad for an ad, but I'm explaining to you what's about to happen here. So if I go to this page right here, this bundle here is normally $2.99, right? If you want a discount and you're watching these videos live, shoot us an email, say you're watching the videos live, and we can get you a $50 discount on that if you ask. The same goes over here if you want the video learning only. So the idea is that if you have this, you're going to get what they call FM Starting Point Enhanced. FM Starting Point Enhanced it's the basic CRM, but we put some extra little nuggets of goodness in there. If you're getting the video only bundle, normally doesn't come with it, just email us and ask for it. I will send you a copy of Starting Point Enhanced. So if you're watching this and you have our annual training, then what I'll do is you get this version of Starting Point. So this is the basic Starting Point right here. And what happens is we put extra buttons over here that do extra capable kind of things, and you can just drag the buttons and drag them on here. And so we'd already dragged on the button over here. It's called Create a PDF, right? And so what we do is over here is you can take the PDF, create the PDF, drag it to desktop. So we covered this the other day. The process is almost identical. So what you do is you have, to see how this is going to work, what you do is a couple tips. First, you go to FileMaker Pro. You're going to go Preferences. You're going to make sure your advanced tools are turned on. And if they're not, then go and turn it on, then quit FileMaker and reopen it. You need to have this Tools menu at the top. Then what you're going to do is to see how these things work as an example, so you can steal the script out and use it yourself, is that you need to watch it run. And so what you do is you're going to say, script debugger, show the script debugger. So what this does, it's going to, instead of the script just running every line like as fast as it can, it's going to run each line of code separately, and you can watch what happens. There's also the ability to send, right, like I hit this button right here, it's going to send it by email, right? So it's going to attempt to send this invoice to this guy, this Boomy guy with this really bad email here that won't work. But so it's going to run script 1202. So I press the button. So I can stop it. Let me go and stop it. I'm going to press it again. So when I press it, now the script debugger is interrupting it, and we step through it. So I'm going to say step, and it's going to run script 1202. It's going to, then I can step through, and the little green comments are our comments to you about, what's going on. We're not using QuickBooks, or we're using the web publishing engine. No, so then we come down here. We're going to commit and freeze the window. Now, when we're doing script debugger, the freeze window is ignored because it's redrawing after every step, so the freeze window doesn't really work with script debugger. And so they're going to check to make sure this has a email address. Yes, it does. Now we see the email address over here being a bad address. It's not a great address, and so it will fail, but it doesn't know it's going to fail. So then what we do is we set the email into a variable. It doesn't really matter. You can step through this. The whole idea is I'm not going to give you every answer right here. We only have a limited amount of time, but I'm going to steer you to where to go when I'm gone. So when the broadcast goes away, you want to watch the training videos or see how this works. You step through it here, right? So you're going to step down through here. You're going to make sure that it's checking for a multi-page invoice. So you have so many line items, it has to be multi-page, right? We don't have that. So now it's going to come down here, and it's going to determine what kind of layout we're using. So IMOG had a layout. I have a layout for the PDF, right? And John wants me to cover the 6 steps again. I will cover that. Okay, yeah. So, the problem is this the way that was written? So we have questions. So obviously there's a very interesting dialogue going here on the Slack, on the Twitch side. Awesome. I'm glad for the question. But yeah. I'll loop back to stuff. Let me finish this with the iMog real quick. So, once again, we're creating an invoice. We're sending it out via email, and all the code you need to see is in Starting Point. It's basically free. If you want, if any of you want the enhanced version, just email us and we'll send it to you. So it's checking the layout. So it goes to the layout. So this is what iMog said. Yeah, I've got a layout, and here it is right here. Then what it's going to do, it's going to check to see if we're going to do a barcode from the Todd Geist barcode. That was a couple days ago. We're not doing that. It's going to jump out. Now the next thing it's going to do, it's going to create the PDF through these steps right here. These are the critical steps. It says on script 1202, step 73, 74, 75, right through here. The idea is that it's going to create a PDF and essentially save it to the desktop is the idea. Or it saves it to the temp folder in this case. It might save it to the temp folder. And so the next thing it does, so the other day we were talking about saving it to the desktop. That's really step 1 of sending it out in an email. You create it, you save it somewhere, then you create an email and you attach it, which is kind of the critical piece here. So that's line 82 right here. We're going to use the email client. I'm not sure if I left that on email client, but that's what it would do right here. I'm going to step down. It's probably going to jump. Yeah, it did. So it thinks it's sending out through the SMTP server. The point is that it's going to create an email and send it out. If you're using the local email client, it'll pop open your mail client like here. It'll pop it open wherever it went. Hello, where's my mail? Message viewer? Is that what I want to do? I'm just being stupid. Yeah, so I've got my spam email here even I got an email from myself. Hey, there we are. So there's our video. But what it's going to do is it's going to create it in the outbox here and attach it. So it's pretty slick. So that's how this works. That's the code that you want to go in here and take apart and play with. Okay, so we built it for you already. It has a lot of extra options in it. You're just going to keep the simple option. You decide whether you're going to send it out through SMTP, which is directly, SMTP is where FileMaker client, or basically the client that's running, is going to communicate directly with a mail server. It's going to skip your email program. It's not going to use a plugin. It's going to send it directly out to an email server up on the cloud somewhere. So that's the way that works. So hopefully I've answered that question. I'm going to pivot back and go back here. So yeah, sorry, Brian, didn't understand the question, but hopefully I did answer the question. In terms of the drip capability, that is definitely a capability in the FileMaker platform. Is it cheaper than other systems? Well, compared to like Salesforce starts at about $85 per user per month for any real deployment. FileMaker, depending upon what level you buy it at 5 to 10 users, just the platform itself is going to be about about $20 per user per month is the lowest tier they have there for that. So, one second. I'm over here sneezing and stuff, so I am not sick. I'm not sick, trust me. But I have 7 rescue cats and I have allergies. So how stupid is that, right? So, cool. So yeah, so he's there saving his the email into the temp folder. We see that. So Spectra, yeah. Brian's question was about RFQ, but for a company to accept input from a company website to their FileMaker solution. Okay, I didn't understand that, so let's just address that. So from Spectra 207, can a company website talk to FileMaker solution? Yes, it can. If you're using FileMaker Server, it's probably the easiest to wire up. So once again, we talked about deployment options. So the one person over here asked about deployment options. I'm going to go ahead and sideline this for the time being. I'm going to pivot back to my checklist of things, the things to consider, the tips, my tips for kicking over a CRM for your company, right? So step one, I basically tell people that, you need to think about the FileMaker platform. If you can find an off-the-shelf system that works exactly the way you want it to and you're confident with that company and it's cheap, then use that. FileMaker's value is that it's highly customizable. So for example, let's talk about accounting very simply. If you need an accounting system and you have highly creative accounting practices, using QuickBooks is probably not a great idea. QuickBooks is cheaper than building your own FileMaker system because you have to buy FileMaker, then you have to build it yourself or hire a developer or get a coach to help you, and that's where the cost comes in. The real cost of FileMaker platform is not the license, it's getting the help that you need after the fact, right? And so Salesforce is a canned system, and generally people use it uncustomized out of the box. It's just the way it is. You can get developers to help you with that. They're really expensive. So getting a developer to try to help you customize Salesforce, you hear people swearing and talking about big data systems and, it's $250 an hour on a cheap day, that kind of stuff. Salesforce is not it's not a small, medium-sized business solution. There are some medium businesses that use it, but once again, you have to, if you need to customize your business process, like every business I've ever met almost exclusively has their own way of doing business. They have their own customized processes that are different. The way their workflow, way a customer moves through their organization is different. FileMaker allows you to customize for that pretty easily. Certainly with, either you learn it yourself or you get a coach to help you. That can be inexpensive. If you have a lot of it, you need it done really fast, then we just go all the way with a senior developer and have them bang it out for you. But there's more cost for that. So the question here is so as you start to go through this checklist of things, I'm going to finish this checklist and we'll get down to the deployment option, which gets back to the Spectra 207's conversation. So FileMaker platform, seriously consider that. Download a free copy of FileMaker Pro, the trial, the software. It runs for 45 days. If you're having a problem with any of this, shoot me an email at support RC Consulting, because in 30 minutes the live stream will be over. Yeah, so, and I'm going to get back to Brian here, who's talking about deployment. So then you have a copy of FileMaker running. You download a free CRM like this one right here, FM Starting Point, which is at fmstartingpoint.com. The next thing you're going to do is look at downloading it, customizing it, removing the elements you don't need, maybe getting a coach to help you, get some training, whatever's within your budget. Then importing the data in. Somewhere around the time you start to import data in or you customize it, you're going to want other people to see it. You need buy-off from the people in your organization to approve it. They need to see the value of it. Like, if you're a middle manager person and you have limited budget, and you're trying to bring in a system like Brian might be trying to do, then the issue becomes one where you need to show it to people to get them to see the value of it. Once people see the value of something, they will typically support it. Once you get down that road, then it gets into a conversation where Echo Foxtrot Golf 52, EFG 52, is talking about whether the server is, what your deployment options for the server are. And currently there are really 3 deployment options for the server. You have FileMaker Server software. It's the on-premise software. It's Mac and Windows, and there has been conversation about that being made available for Linux. That software can actually be deployed locally in your home or office, I should say, home office or whatever you want, wherever you have a local data center or your local stuff set up. It could be in your office. You can also take FileMaker Server and deploy it on a Windows machine up in the cloud with Amazon. We do that a lot. So people like the flexibility of FileMaker Server, but they still deploy it into the cloud, which gets it out of their office so they don't have to worry about it. The other option is FileMaker Cloud. Now, FileMaker Cloud is the current version of it is called 2.0. If you already have FileMaker Cloud, you're using it right now, you're using FileMaker Cloud 1.0. FileMaker, in their technical documentation and things like that, you'll see references to version 1 or version 2. If you talk to sales and marketing, they don't try to differentiate that because they think it confuses people, which it does. But in training like this, we have to be very specific. So Cloud, the very first version of FileMaker Cloud came out 4 years ago or so, and it had a lot of, well, the limitations were primarily setting it up. It took about 3 hours for a technical person to set it up. It's very difficult. If you got really good at doing it, it took about an hour and a half of a very technical person to set it up, way beyond the skill set of an average user or developer. Even a basic FileMaker developer, it was too much for them. So that was Cloud 1.0. Back in September, FileMaker released Cloud 2.0. They're starting to get the bug fixes in it, starting to look pretty good. It's fairly easy to set up. And that purchase, when you do that, includes the license of the software and the hardware on one bill. So they completely take care of the whole thing for you. It's a little more pricey and a cost, but considering they take care of the hardware and the software for you, and you don't have to really worry about it, that's pretty great. So that's where the deployment conversation comes from. And so what ends up happening is that when you're going to connect from a web server, so once again, we're back to the conversation from Brian, and Spectre 207 clarified it for me. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so EFG52 talks about, we're going to spend some time on deployment now, I guess, for the rest of the hour here. And so the idea is that there are different capabilities. Okay, so all three deployment options, FileMaker Server, Cloud 1, and Cloud 2, all have a very similar base set of capabilities. They all will host a FileMaker file. And if you're using FileMaker Pro, FileMaker Go, or FileMaker WebDirect, you cannot really tell the difference between them. There's no way to tell which kind of server. So it's transparent to the user, okay? How you would select one of those, in fact, we were just shooting an updated video for our new updated video course coming out in May, where we talked about, where the kind of the benefits and issues are. Really, Cloud 1 is being deprecated. If you're using Cloud 1, you're going to be forcibly moved at some point to Cloud 2. That's the first thing to understand. So really, you can't buy Cloud 1 at this point. If you already have it, you can renew it for a couple more years, but eventually they want you to move to Cloud 2. So yeah, really the conversation is about FileMaker Server and Cloud 2. Cloud 2 is the cloud. If you go to Claris.com, you see them talk about cloud from the sales marketing side. That's Cloud 2. And so really, what is the difference? So Cloud, FileMaker Server, at the end of the day, has more options for hooking in and connecting and communicating with an outside web source. So if Brian had come to me and said, hey, I want this to deploy and work right now, we have an outstanding tech support issues with Claris that they have not replied to. At some point, we think they'll reply to them, but we're having a hard time getting some of the web technology to connect and use. Some people say, hey, it works great, but I have some of the sharpest FileMaker people in the community working for me, and there's a definite breakdown issue or bug that's preventing Cloud 2 from really communicating with a web server at the current time. So Cloud 2, it came out, was version 1.0 really in September. It's a fairly new capability. And so it's got some neat things in it. There's a FileMaker ID capability into it. Basically, it's the idea of Active Directory. IMOG is talking about Active Directory when you see AD. So the part of the interesting with the conversations, we have a broad group of people here, about 3 people here chatting amiably, chatting back and forth on the Twitch, which is great. But there are a number of other people who are watching who don't understand the context. So the FileMaker server, that runs on Mac, Windows, and eventually at Linux, is the most flexible. It's the most mature product. It's the most, in my opinion, reliable in terms of having an issue, You know, like for example, like we can't get the web server to talk to Cloud 2. The web servers talk to Cloud 1 just fine, but that's been in market for 4 years. Cloud 2 has been in market for 5 months or something, and it should be working, but we don't know why it's not. So we're chasing that down. So I'm not going to recommend something to you that doesn't work for us. And I've got some of the sharpest guys around. So at some point they'll fix that. So if you're trying to do a web page that talks to your database backend, right? Then that's where really at this point you want to use FileMaker Server. And then you have choices of using the FileMaker Data API to connect and talk to it, or like the PHP Gateway. So let me show you another demo. I'm going to pop this up right here. This will blow some of you away. Well, some of you will be like, oh, wow, that's great. Some of you is like, no big deal. I'm going to try FileMaker. I'm going to type this in right here. I recommend you type out try FileMaker, the entire word, and don't abbreviate it would be my recommendation, just for keeping everyone out of trouble. If I go to try FileMaker right now, it's going to bring up this page right here. This page right here, the structure of the page is an HTML file, but the data in here is coming out of FileMaker. And so this is a free tool that we have. It's called the FileMaker Video Library Publication Kit. And what it does is I can actually here's the problem, and here's the issue. So in this specific situation, we wanted to have a way where you could have this. These are records in FileMaker, right? The container, the image, everything. These are records in FileMaker. You can turn this down and look at additional videos here, right? Oh, I want to see this. I want to see this. And what we do is we play these videos through Vimeo. Why do we play the videos through Vimeo? Because what happens is that if you're a sales or marketing person and you're really
in this short video course, we're going to explore whether
very
FileMaker
loud.
is the right platform for you.
Wow, there's that guy right there. I don't know who that is. So this is playing through Vimeo. If you play stuff through YouTube, which a lot of people will do, YouTube is going to put your competitor videos on there. They're going to put your try to distract people, like the 5 most amazing cat tricks this week, or the fails, or people walking off buildings and doing stupid stuff. YouTube is trying to keep you engaged and clicking and spending time and getting distracted. So you can pay Vimeo, 10, 20 bucks a month or whatever it is, pretty inexpensively, and you can run video just like you would with YouTube, but it doesn't try to spam you with advertisements. And so what we did is we built our own system that allows us to basically, if I close that, it runs out of FileMaker. We drive this out of FileMaker, yet the videos don't go off to the 10 most important cat videos. So if you're interested in more about kind of what this is, you want to download and play with it, we could even have a training session where we talk about it. If you go to FM Starting Point, and then you go to the Marketplace right here, you can see the FileMaker Video Library Publication Kit. And it's got the overview video, the detailed video, and it shows you how it works. And so you can download it for free. If you want help getting it rolled out, then we have engineers who can help you with that. Not a problem. So, but this is a classic case of FileMaker driving data from a web server. In this case, we're displaying it as a directory, but it could have been a data entry at that. So cool. So additional questions. Yeah, so let's talk about the deployment options. So FileMaker Server, if you choose FileMaker Server Mac or Windows, it's the cheapest licensing option you can get into FileMaker, but you have to provide your own hardware. People will have their own Mac servers or Windows servers in their offices. If you have an IT team and your IT team is very security conscious and they want to build their own server and do their own server, and they kind of get territorial, then FileMaker Server software is what we're talking about, what you need. Now understand, when we say FileMaker, a lot of people say FileMaker Server, and that's such a loose term. So FileMaker Server can be the hardware or the software, or people refer to it as my FileMaker Server, which means kind of both of those things together, right? So when I say FileMaker Server, I'm actually talking about the software that's Mac or Windows. Then you have FileMaker Cloud, which is a service. And so when you go through the process of purchasing or setting that up, or you could have us help you with that, whatever you need to do, it's going to run it on Amazon. Now, it runs it on Amazon. It's abstracted. You really can't tell it's running on Amazon. You administer and manage the whole thing through a web interface on your end, so you never talk to Amazon, which is really slick. And so it has the benefits of low overhead, low cost of setup. It doesn't take your tech support guys to set it up, which is great. It has fewer options in terms of flexibility. In some ways, it has a couple good things in it. We could have a conversation where we just talk about cloud too. If you folks are interested in doing that, we could schedule that for another day. But for example, if I go over here to FileMaker and I say open, I could go to hosts. I say show hosts. So on this computer, I have my FileMaker server here. I have a 18 server there. I have a ETS server somewhere else in here that's running. And this is actually my FileMaker Cloud 2 machine that's running up on Amazon. So it's running right here. And so I can actually come over here. I can open this up, and it'll ask me for a username and password, unless I have it set to auto enter, which I might do. Yeah, it's set to auto enter. Did I? So this is, Okay, let me close this one right here. So I want to make sure, I did this correctly here. That was so easy, it threw me for a second. I was waiting for it to give me grief. So if you go to the cloud, here's the FileMaker Cloud, here's the file right here, you hit open. I must have saved the username and password in the where you can do that. I was waiting for it to pop a dialog. And so this is running on the cloud, right? So this is running on Cloud 2. It's actually a Linux machine. And what ends up happening with this is that as you open the layouts for the first time, it caches down the data. It caches down the structure of the layout. So as you go back to context, you see how fast it is. If I go to invoices right now, there'll be a little, I click it, about a 2-second lag. The next time I come back to invoices, it's really fast because FileMaker's been making improvements in caching, so as you interact with the database, it's saving parts of that structure of that file on your own hard drive. So when it needs to say, hey, I want to show the layout for invoices, it says, well, I already have it saved, so don't download it, just bring it up locally. And so once again, I can do projects, click, 1, 2, about 2.5 seconds. The next time you come back here to projects, if you want, it's instantaneous because it's smart. So FileMaker, the engineers at Claris making it much better, much smarter, much faster. This capability with the caching, this is universal to all the server, Cloud 1, Cloud 2, they all do this. They've been doing it since FileMaker 15 or 16. It's a fairly new capability. So Echo Foxtrot Golf 52, which sounds like a fighter jet call sign, is saying a Cloud 2 discussion would be great. So we'll work on scheduling that for next week. And I'll see if we can get that going, which would be good. Because we have it, we bought it, we were using it for testing. FileMaker didn't give it to me for free. They just said, hey, if you want to, even show it to people on a video, you have to go buy it, which was an interesting conversation. Okay, so questions. We're wrapping. We're coming. We're about to land the plane. We're on downwind, base to final. Going to land the airplane. The hour is going to be over here pretty quick. Brian, did we answer all your questions? I want to make sure we answered your questions. Spectre 207 was here. Awesome. IMOG is awesome. Great. Thank you for coming. Make sure you let people know about this. We will be back every day on this. And once again, we can go through the interface and compare the interfaces. So we could do, looking at FileMaker server, the interface as opposed to maybe like Cloud 2 interface. It's actually pretty neat stuff. So any other additional comments, questions? I know there's a lag here, so I'll take a drink and let you guys catch up. Charles, you have any questions on your end?
Nothing on my end here. YouTube was pretty quiet today. Most of the interactions were coming in from Twitch.
All right, so there's a conversation where egg is amazing. I didn't write that, so I don't know who wrote that. Miles wrote that. Someone wrote that. Did you write egg is amazing? Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. My fingers were not moving. That was not me. There's someone pretending to be Richard Carlton on there, so I'll have to see that. Maybe that's Miles. Oh, EFG. All right. Wonder who that is. It's got to be Miles. Is that Miles? Is that you, Charles? Charles. Could be Charles on here. He doesn't want to cop to it. Charles Massey. Being a bad person. Do you recognize people who use your products to create a server that impacts their company? Yeah, I mean, if you're at, if okay, so once again, this is one of those kind of questions that's kind of an interesting question, and I want to make sure I'm taking it correct. Do you recognize people who use your products to create a server that impacts your company? Yes. If we have someone who is successful using FileMaker, um, FileMaker or Starting Point or any things that my team builds, we're happy to acknowledge you. For example, we do work for a certain Golden Arches hamburger company that rhymes with HickDonald's, but it's not HickDonald's, it's some other company, and so they don't really allow us to promote it. Like there's another company that owns Claris that is a fruit company, and we do work for them, and they don't like to talk about it either sometimes because I don't know, it's like sometimes you have a deal with a Fortune 500 or Fortune 10 company and they don't want to talk about it. But if you have a company that wants to talk about how FileMaker was awesome, and we can do success stories or do videos, or we can whatever. So if you have something that's awesome that's working, let us know. Reach out to us at Support RC Consulting. We're happy to let people know that you've seen success with this, because FileMaker is shooting success stories with companies right now. They were down in LA doing some videos. So I keep saying FileMaker because they've only been called that for 20 years. So if I apologize if you see me screwing that up, it's Claris Corporation, formerly FileMaker Inc. The company now is called Claris. The platform is still FileMaker. The word FileMaker is not going away. They just don't. The sign on the side of the building no longer says FileMaker. So yeah, you want a little trophy. Wow. Okay, you're going to be a handful. I can see that already. Where are you based out of, IMOG? Let us know where you're from. So if you have a successful FileMaker solution, let us know where you're at. Maybe we can do a success story or something like that. We can also pass your information to the folks at Claris, because they are running around doing videos, and might be interesting, right? There's a company that does firearms training, the biggest civilian firearms training company in the world, and they use FileMaker. But you have people who it doesn't matter whether it's bad guys with guns or good guys with guns. They just hate guns and period. So politically incorrect. So Claris doesn't want to promote a company that does that, even though this company trains like 50,000 people a year, 100,000 people. It's a lot of people. It's 2,000 people like every weekend. So it's a lot of training anyway. So if you're a politically incorrect business, then maybe, I don't know, they wouldn't like it. I don't know. But that's just the way that is. I don't mind telling people about it. So, and we will get you, if it makes you feel better, we will get you a trophy and or a shirt. We knew we wanted to come up with a shirt that says, I'm a FileMaker warrior, or a FileMaker awesome person, or whatever you want to. You should take some suggestions about shirts. Any designs you have, let us know about that, because we're happy to have everyone be part of the team. This is the FileMaker team. I'll leave you with this. Dallas, right on. The FileMaker team, the world of developers, really the world needs you, right? Kind of like they need doctors to keep people healthy and things like that. Without the world of FileMaker, frankly, and users who can build the solutions and roll them out, we can't have people working from home, right? They would be, or they would be paying a ton of money to someone like Salesforce, and they'd be unhappy with it. We get a lot of people who start with Salesforce who get out of it because it's just not flexible enough for them, and it costs too damn much money. And so having great people in the FileMaker community, building great solutions, helping out when things get rough, right? Making sure that the solutions work good remotely, because building things to work remotely takes a little bit more skill than just building it generically. So I want to thank everyone for coming today. Please feel free to like us, like the videos, like the channel, tell other FileMaker people about it, let them show up, and then we will take suggestions for content. So a Cloud 2 conversation would be useful as well. I think that would be great. And so for now, I'm Richard Carlton, and this is fmtraining.tv. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Assuming I press the button. So you have a fancy little button here thing. I have to press it, and then we'll roll the closing credits.
just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and stacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.